Katerina, I'll leave you the floor.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for coming. It's so amazing to be here. I am going to be presenting the research that initiated all the framework for IQ Media. We researched professionals in the participating countries. Therefore, we could create the syllabus and for the academy and the master classes as well, which have been also embellished by some of the participants here. A bit back. All right. So the research scope was this. So we have been talking about, with the amazing presentation of Federica, what the audience thinks about AI and modern journalism. What we opted to do here, because IQ Media is addressed mostly to media professionals, is to research what media professionals themselves think about new technologies, digital tools, and AI regarding their perception about digital transformation, the challenges they're facing, the level of innovation diffusion, the awareness, are they aware of those tools? Do they know how to work them? Because we're saying, we need to advance our things, and we haven't asked the professionals how they feel about that. How are they aspired to adapt? What are the expected opportunities and advantages and revenue opportunities they wish to take out of that? And how open, what's their perception of openness regarding digital transformation suggestions? Because we believe that it's a given, it is not, regarding several ownerships and publishing houses. So next, please. So, okay, this is just for you to get an idea what we mean talking about digital transformation. People might think it's just, okay, we developed our website and we have a social media footprint, we're done. Of course, it's not that. It's like a whole discipline that involves organizational culture, involves professional acuity. Let's move, please. So this is what we did. So for a specific amount of time, like December to January, we reached a total of 200 media professionals. At the end, after cleaning the data, we ended up with 186 professional samples. And the questionnaire was sent via Google Forms, and it was done through our work at IQ Media. Either we went through the journalistic associations of our countries, or via personal contacts where we actually pushed the questionnaire and they answered to us. Let's go next, please. All right. Very basic questions. What are the current business models media in all four countries implement? As we would expect, advertising, sponsored content, subscriptions, third, freemium, premium content, okay, and then paywall, okay, this is different for some of the countries, affiliate, and crowdfunding. Okay, let's go next. So this is how they're making money. How do they perceive the term digital transformation, the professionals that we asked? So most of them believe it is to create and maintain a digital profile, and mostly we're done. The second place is having a digital transformation strategy in place. That is what digital transformation means. Implementation of software, AI tools, and analytics in audience identification or in the newsroom is it's further down in their perception, and especially regarding in the news production, it's the last thing. So journalists do not believe that digital transformation is primarily characterized by implementing AI in the news production. Can we change, please? So the challenges that professionals in the four countries are facing is mainly that the awareness is low. Professionals in our 96 media organizations are not fully aware of what is available regarding software or AI tools. And also, they don't know how to use those tools. So those things that we take for granted is not granted. The everyday professional is not even aware of those things. And there's also a very serious concern regarding older journalists that are not familiar at all with digital tools, and also the fact that the quality of the tools cannot be properly assessed by the professionals, therefore trust them to use them. So these are the four more important problems that we face. Also, there is the matter of cost, the lack of risk management, which we see a bit later, and there is no redundancy plans. That is, we don't have additional personnel into our organizations. Next, please. Regarding big data approaches, look what's happening. The pink is the no. Big data news process, in the news process production, 74% no. Audience analytics, big data approaches, 77% no. Data journalism, 60% no. Okay, so the pink one is a no. Okay, let's go a bit further. Given that we have this kind of lack of awareness, where should digital transformation process begin from? 26% believe that you should start with personnel. Ensure that your employees, your journalists, are properly equipped, they're talented, and they're trained regarding all those new methods. And of course, we have to find the funds to do that. So funding is the second place where digital transformation should begin from. And the third place is the newsroom. You bring in the special tools and software after you have secured funding and training your own journalists. And then, of course, you need some executives, and you need to partner with digital organizations. That is our last. Next, please. So, okay, this is a bit thick. Now, we have measured, and I'm not going to waste your time to tell you how we did that. We have measured the level of digital readiness and agility within our professionals. So we created a scale, the DRA scale, which shows how advanced our professionals are. And so we compared that scale to several factors. So we can see country, French journalists have a higher DRA scale regarding to the journalists, media professionals from Portugal, Greece, and Cyprus. People working in legacy media without a digital footprint have a very low DRA scale. They have a very low level of innovation awareness. Least experienced professionals have a higher DRA scale score, meaning younger professionals are more digitally aware. Over here, okay, we do have a correlation with age, which doesn't really show a lot of things other than the expected, that media professionals of 60 years and further, they have a lower DRA scale. And over here, we can see the size of organization. The bigger the organization, the more digitally ready its professionals are. Okay, so let's, next please. Over here, we have done this little comparison. So what do journalists, media professionals, not journalists, media professionals expect as an advantage from the implementation of digital tools in their business? So mostly they expect to improve the audience experience and increase clicks and readership, and also to increase revenue as the third advantage. Now we have separated journalists from managers, people that have more administrative positions like CEOs, editors-in-chief, department managers. So the pink is the journalists, the people that actually do write the news, and the black one is the managers. Allow me to use this word as a generalization. So we can see there's some differences. So the improvement of the audience experience is something that managers expect. Journalists want to increase clicks and readership and improve the quality of news. And also what managers want way more than journalists is to reduce their costs via the implementation of digital tools. Next, please. Don't laugh. You have to answer for that. So when we're going within our digital transformation process, how are we going to make some money? So the blue is the current business model. For the new era of journalism, the digital journalism, the journalism with AI tools and all these advancements that we have already discussed, how are we going to make money? So the expected revenue opportunity for advertising is dropping. But what is increasing the most is sponsored content, meaning that journalists, media professionals expect people paying for articles that are going to appear as natives, like as, about this thing, products that appear as articles, and that will be the main source of income. And then they are going to find ways to increase their subscriptions. All right, and then limited free content or blockchain and cryptocurrency technology as like several proposals of how we're going to make money are landing last. And this is where we are separating journalists from managers. Pink, again, is journalists, the black is managers. Managers expect, very rightly so, to increase subscriptions, you see, way more than journalists want. And they also want to increase sponsored content. And journalists expect that they will increase advertising. So there's a chance that journalists don't really grasp the business model so well. Let's, next please. We're almost done, guys. All right, so over here we did a little comment to see advanced DRA scale, people that are digitally ready and agile, what do they believe is going to be the expected advantages? So they believe it's going to be an improvement of the audience experience, and they least believe that they're going to reduce costs. So people that do have a grasp of technology believe when we apply digital tools in journalism and media, the media profession, reducing costs is not going to be the advantage, but the audience experience is going to be the advantage. And samely, digitally agile professionals do not believe that the revenue opportunity will be in advertising, it will be in blockchain technology. That's where they believe money is going to come from. Next, please. I think we're almost done. So these are some of the points that we can take away. Our 4 countries have shown a little bit of a digital inertia. News professionals do need further training and renewed constant training. The aspirations between the public and the media professionals and the media professionals themselves are a bit out of sync, because this is a transitional period and colleagues and customers need to realign. And we can also see business inertia and stagnant business models, because we have still yet to understand how we're going to capitalize from this new era. As Federica showed us, the public does not trust AI, therefore we should be very careful in implementing them. And to be honest, this is a very good advantage. When you have platforms that are saturated with synthetic content, then legacy media that are certified, they are properly positioned in the business, they are responsible in using AI, and they do that with the acceptance of the public and the industry, do have an advantage compared to all the other things that we have discussed, social media, creators, and all that. So this is what I can take out from this little survey that we created for IQ Media, and I think we're done. Next, please. That's it.
Thank you, Katerina. Okay. I just want to jump and have a quick discussion, maybe to have your reaction about these numbers, and you laughed a little bit about the situation, the balancing quality between the balance between quality and efficiency. Basically, that survey reveals a tension between the management focus on cost reduction and the journalist emphasis on content quality. How do you envision Newsroom could reconcile these differing priorities to ensure that actually digital transformation strengthens both journalists' standards and operational efficiency? How do you envision that?
Hello, everybody. First, I would like to do my own survey here in the room, because I see we have a young audience, mostly. And how many people already used things like ChatGPT or all that kind of thing here in the room? Okay.
It's full.
Thank you, because that's what I wanted to show. So everybody's using it today. And so I think that the question in Newsroom today is not if we want AI to come in the newsroom and things like that, is that how we manage AI in the newsroom that is already in the newsroom, because all young journalists who arrive today, they are already using it, sometimes in the wrong way. I was reading a big French newspaper 2 days ago, and the beginning of the articles was okay, your article is great, but you can do it better in this way, and I propose you to write it that way. And so I guess that the journalist just forgot to I'm not going to give the name of the newspaper, but that's true.
That's a
true.
shame.
that was 2 days ago. And so
copy and paste.
And it's going to happen more and more, definitely. And so I guess that the question is first, okay, AI is already there, and just we have to handle that and to know what are good practices, how we can use it efficiently in a clear and transparent way. And so I guess that's the main question that we have to tackle today and in the future in the newsroom.
Lefteris?
I think the key word here, hi everybody, thank you for having us this matin. I think the key word here is transparency. We need to be transparent, all newsrooms, all managers, journalists, editorial boards, everyone should be transparent when they use the AI, either for content, either for, is it for a text, or images, or a podcast, or whatever it is. Whenever you use AI, you need to be transparent in what way how much of the content was created by an AI tool, and people will understand that. But at the same time, there is a risk there for legacy media when they have as a USP their tone of voice, the style, prestigious journalists that have, their audiences replaced by more AI content, even if it is edited by a journalist and it is, for publication, there's a risk there to lose your tone of voice, to lose your style as a newspaper, as a media, as a legacy media.
Thomas, at l'Equipe, do you have journalists who are copy-pasting some GPT stuff? Do you
Can
know
we
that?
have a fact-checking of your story, Arnaud? That's
I'm
true?
afraid the article is still online.
Incredible.
Really? Oh, damn.
I've checked yesterday night.
Impossible. That's really incredible. No, same subject, and I like your idea of USP. That's the most important for me. It's just to make sure that even with this kind of tool, you keep your DNA, your USP in terms of, it's just a marketing point of view, but that's so important, and we need to work with it. There is nothing to do. It was the same thing. I speak like an old digital guy, but with the arrival of Google or Facebook in 2007, or the iPhone after, that's just another revolution, and it's not a problem. It's just the way you use it. So, of course, our newsroom is using it.
Florent, do you have like a reaction from your members of l'Alliance that are actually consistent with what we are saying?
Well, I would more react on what Katerina showed before about journalists saying a lot they are not aware of tools available and or they don't know how to use it. That's very interesting because in the room lots of people say they use or at least they know some tools like ChatGPT, but how do they use it? Do they know how to use it? And that's pretty interesting because the project we've been working with our members on is really on taking AI in the newsroom to help journalists play with AI, just learn to do some things with it, keeping their critical skepticism, but let's say see what can be great with this tool. So I would say I'm not surprised because the numbers are very high, and that's pretty good news for us because we're working on some things that could be useful.
Katrina?
Let me just say something. Of course, people know how to use ChatGPT in their personal life. The thing is exactly what you guys are going to present, creating applications with AI that are going to, in fact, help the journalistic activity. And that is something journalists cannot do, and they don't know how to use it. If they want to, for instance, you're going to present us something amazing about climate change information. If I am an environmental journalist, and I want to see has been happening. I want to do a data journalism story and check out like temperature rising and fall or legislation regarding that thing. AI would help me, but if there isn't a tool available for me, I don't know it. So I'm going to just go Google and say climate change. So that's not using AI. So that was the idea. And our journalists, the participants, knew about that. So we didn't talk about the personal use. We talked about a proper professional and best practices use of those tools. So now it's time for you to
Speaking of
best
best practice, I wanted to start with lefters. Can you present a little bit the newspaper, just because we are not everyone could not be aware about your title and.
I am the managing editor of Kathimerini, the leading newspaper of Greece. We have a print edition and a digital edition. We publish several titles like Vogue. We have with Condé Nast and exclusivity. We have an English edition. We have New York Times publication, 25 years relationship. We publish the print edition. The print edition that you get here also is coming from Greece, is a partnership with them, and digital and print. So we are a big organization. We have been around more than a century. Recently, we launched our paywall. We have a reader revenue model. We have worked closely with Google and the Financial Times, the consultancy agency FTS, Financial Times Strategies, and we are partners on that. So it's going amazing. It's very interesting. We are the first in the market to introduce a paywall to the Greek market. It's tough because we have to educate the audience that we need to pay now for news. But we are in a strong position because, as we said earlier, our DNA, our USP is our tone of voice, our prestigious journalists, our authors, our opinions, and all the amazing people that are working for Kathmerini. So there is acceptance. I can say that is more resistance than the super fans of Kathmerini because they are more reluctant to pay for news because they are used all these years to get it for free, so now they're more resistant. Younger audiences are more accustomed to pay for news. They understand they need to pay for news, as they pay, I believe, the pro version for ChatGPT or other platform. So what about AI and newsroom? Thankfully, we don't have the problem that Le Monde has because all AI models are terrible at translating Greek. So we don't translate that. We use more Google Translate or ChatGPT or for Translate, but every single story has to be edited by a journalist. So what do we do? On Katerina Notes, most journalists think that AI is a threat. They see it as a threat. There's not acceptance because either they don't know how to use it in their everyday life, or they think that it will be replaced by ChatGPT. So ChatGPT will take our jobs, whatever. So there's a skepticism around AI tools. So what do? We use it when we want to search data because it's amazing. Of course, there is the question: do you build it or do you buy it? For a publisher, I think. I think if you want to build an AI platform that is based on Kathmerini's AI algorithm, it's very hard. It's almost impossible, and when you will done with that, it will be outdated already. So I think for smaller publishers coming from a smaller market like Greece, it's easy. The right path is to invest on the existing AI models like ChatGPT or Perplexity or Prorata. There are several there, and there will be more and more, I believe. So that's first question one. Question two is how do you use it? Transparent way. Don't change your DNA of the company, of your newspaper, either digital or print, doesn't matter. Don't change your DNA, your USP, your tone of voice. Elevate the user's experience, the UX. Use it for audio articles. We are we're already having audio articles, and we are going to adopt 11 labs who are pioneers in audio articles, because we saw from our data insights that people, when we introduced audio articles, it picked up, and they like to listen, especially opinions, the opinion sector, they like to listen to opinions. So we are going to launch pretty soon with 11 Labs, our new version of AI, with the voice of the actual voice of the journalist that has written the story. Is it a reportage or opinion? We use it for images, but we are very clear that this was created by an AI tool, given instructions by a journalist, and this was created by the AI tool. We use it for advertising reasons, either for clients in English. We use it to change the tone of voice, either to be more appealing to younger audiences, like sponsor content that Katerina mentioned, when a client wants something that will reach an international audience, and wants to reach a younger audience in France or in Italy or in UK, wherever Greeks are there, it doesn't matter. We use it to change the tone of voice. Like, it's great, but use that tone of voice, or use that, it gives you recommendations. So you use it for natives and sponsor content. For podcasts, we just started to experiment with podcasts to have, daily edition of a podcast with history elements, what happened today, 100 years ago.
You're using 11 Labs also for the podcast, or
Sorry?
You are using 11 Labs also for the podcast?
No, we are using Google for that. Notebook LLM is,
Okay, you are using the new feature with the two guys that are talking
exactly. If I'm not forgetting anything, we are focused on user experience first because we don't have, there is the language barrier. The platforms aren't very good in Greek, so that's one. So we are focusing on the user experience with elevating their experience either with audio articles, either with images, either to find data that are kept behind PDFs that will take months for a journalist to find, a pattern there or a story there. So pretty much is what we're doing.
We saw in the survey that actually preparing the newsroom and organizing some sort of training for the journalist is crucial, is key in the understanding of this kind of tool. Did you actually plan something to actually train the management and then after that the journalist and create some kind of committee that would actually drive this effort, or are you still in the process of learning by walking?
Our journalists are already using AI platforms, especially Gen AI, and marketing especially is using it more and more. We are using everyone, Gemini from Google, ChatGPT, Perplexity, all platforms. We have started with a smaller group in the newsroom just to use it as a case study and see what is useful for us in order to scale it up and be across newsroom, use it across newsroom. We have always an open eye for anything new and training, but I wouldn't say that now it's in a scale that everyone uses AI in our newsroom. We use it only for now in a scale in images more. And more digital focus, not in the printed area, or for prognostic models to see for sales or analytics. There is a total acceptance there around analytics, around tools.
Yeah, support are more interested in this kind of tools than the newsroom usually. So you were talking about translation, and Arno, I think with Le Monde you actually started a big, huge effort about translation with Le Monde.fr/en, which is the English version of Le Monde. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yep. So when your newspaper is called Le Monde, it's like an evidence that you talk about the world and you talk to the world. And as we're in the 21st century, and as we can witness here, when you want to talk to the world, you talk in English. So it has always been an idea to have an English version of Le Monde. When we were launching the Le Monde in English project, we discovered that there had been Le Monde in English before, like in the 70s, but it was a print version, manually translated, so it didn't last because it was too expensive, and I guess it didn't find an audience. So we always wanted to have this English version, but the AI definitely made it possible. But the important thing that we have to keep in mind is AI in the process is just one tool. It made the whole thing possible because we translate approximately 30 to 40 articles a day. So that's huge. That's a huge process. So we definitely could not do it manually before. And the thing is that if you translate, like, let's say 5-10 articles a day, it's not enough to have a full website living. And the important thing too is that we are based on subscription. And so we needed to have really high quality translation, because I know that some other newspaper give translation for free and they use AI models. But it's okay, it's just like one more service, it's for free. And so sometimes they have disclaimers saying, okay, this article was translated by an AI, so it's maybe not a really good translation, but it's the way it is. So as we wanted to gain subscribers to our Le Monde in English project, we really needed to have high quality translation. So that means for us and for now that, okay, we use AI, we use DeepL, as I guess many people use. And then we have a team of journalists who edit articles, because when you talk about any French politician or something like that everybody here in France know, but in the US maybe people don't know. So they have to do that kind of work that can only be done manually. So one important point to keep in mind is I was laughing when we said that it was using AI to reduce cost, but in our case, we just created, I guess, something like 30 new jobs because of AI. So it's a huge investment. We invest approximately 2 million a year in that project for Le Monde. So it's a huge project. But what we are trying to do is not to reduce costs, is to open new markets. So I think it's an important point. And another thing is to be transparent that we are using AI, but it is really, really important for us to emphasize that after AI, we got 2 human proofreading every article, checking everything, and we do not intend at Le Monde to produce anything from AI that will not be checked by humans after that.
So yeah, anything else that you are trying right now, like voice or video? I remember a video that was published by the video service of Le Monde with De Gaulle.
Exactly. Yeah, we made a video about Charles de Gaulle, the 18th of June appeal. I don't know how you say that in English. L'appel du 18 juin. And yeah, because that's appeal. We think it was recorded, but it was not. And when we think we hear that, it was another recording dates from few days later. And so we had the text. We had the voice of Charles de Gaulle, and we used an AI with an actor, professional actor, who was reading the text, and with the AI, we put the voice of Charles de Gaulle, and we reproduced L'Appel du 18 juin. But that was a one-shot. We never did it again. It took like 4 weeks, I think, to do that. That was a great experience, but I don't think we're doing that kind of thing. We've tried with an AI that's called AGen, and like you take a video in French and you put it in that AI, and you have a video in English with lip sync. Yeah, exactly. And that's amazing, but for today, we're just testing it. We're not really using it. We use AI for text-to-speech also. Like all of our readers can listen to articles. But I think that for today, it's not like really, really satisfying. You know, the tone of the voice still is, you know, after 10 minutes, it gets a bit boring to listen. It's not like listening to radio or to a real podcast or something. But it's getting better fast. So maybe we'll have this conversation in 6 months, and it would be amazing. I don't know.
Thomas, basically, you actually used some AI to create a podcast version of your. Can you explain a little bit, because it was during the Olympics game, and it was a brief summarizing version of the news.
Yeah, we can have my slide. Just a quick introduction so L'Équipe is a sport website in France, application, TV channel. I want to go straight to these 2 use cases, but just on one slide, of course, we can talk a lot of AI and applications in the media as L'Équipe. Just 4 topics we work on. Of course, editorial. I won't speak of this today. A lot of things back-end, especially in the CMS with automatic tagging and that kind of things that can help journalists. Tech, I don't speak of this. That's just relevant that our developers use these kind of tools. And we work on an LLM, a private LLM. Marketing, just one example. We have some studies with massive feedbacks of users. We have users very engaged at L'Équipe, and when we want to ask them for typical surveys, we have many thousands of feedbacks, and we work with a French startup on this for now maybe 6 months to help us to digest this feedbacks, because we have no team to do that. That's quite interesting, and very good result we can have in 2 hours at the end of the survey. And so I'm here today, especially because I'm CPO and I'm a lead of UX at L'Équipe, and previously I was at TF1, and it's my focus, because I think, and it was in the study a good point, maybe not sufficiently addressed, I think, is the impact of UX and how AI can help us to create the best experience as a media, and not only content is the key indicator. Why social network works? It's because it's painless and you access to content so easily. that it's very quick to access. Just take the example with a cooking recipe. In France, you have, for example, an application that is Marmiton. If you want to access to the recipe, you have your children with you. It's an emergency case, but you have a GDPR screen. You have two interstitial. You have a video with a pre-roll autoplay.
It's a nightmare.
Okay, now it's finished. For me, as I'm concerned, it's finished. For now, maybe, I don't know, 1 year, I use ChatGPT and I have the recipe in 5 seconds.
So long
That's
for
the
Marmiton.
UX. Sorry for Marmiton, it was my previous company. Okay, so use case number 1, it's a podcast we produced during the Olympics. The value is very simple. It's to address one of our main issues on L'Equipe, the lack of time. It's the third reason why subscribers at L'Equipe are churning. Third reason after prices and the end of promotion period. So we try to address that issue, but it's really a huge issue and really long. This is just one example. So each morning you have in 2 minutes the schedule of the day, the middle table image, highlights from the previous day, etc. So we produce. What's interesting here it's we produced it in 30 days, about 30 days project. We have the ID with Amazon. At the end of June, so that's interesting to say that that can be tested very early.
A short time to market.
Short time to market. I don't know if we can launch 10 seconds, maybe.
No, unfortunately, because it's a PDF, so we cannot have the voice. Sorry about that.
So you can try
but
it.
It's
already
nice. It's nice.
Yeah, the voice is very interesting with 11 Labs, but I joined Arnaud with this huge problem I have already with the tone of this artificial reading. After 5 minutes, maybe not 10 minutes, but after 5 minutes, there's a kind of fatigue. And
was the voice of a journalist that was
no,
recorded?
Unfortunately, 11 Labs voice that was used for this.
Okay. So maybe that's why also there is a difference between the like a lack of natural sensation when
correct.
we use
but for a
the
2 minutes
voice.
content, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's sufficient.
Yeah.
When you speak of long format, that's a problem.
Yeah, 10 minutes.
That's
true.
limited.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
There's actors that can actually
Yeah, exactly. That's the cost of action.
And the
Second one.
Yeah, second use case, it's a comment summary. So at the beginning of the year, our CTO, Raphaël Dardot, is fan of comments, and we spoke a lot, like me, and we spoke a lot. By the way, we never had time to read all these comments, of course. So how about making a proof of concept and give members this capacity to have a summary of the comments. For some articles, sometimes it's more than 1,000 comments, a lot of discussion. Always the same goal, address this lack of time. You need an account to access to the feature. There is a key benefit for us. It's not a paid feature, of course. It's a free feature. We played with the prompt at the beginning that was not efficient. In particular, with the first comments on L'Equipe. This one is maybe not the good example, but we are at Nice. So I used an article from last match of Nice. This one is not the more relevant, but the first comment is very often the most fun, and it can spoil a bit. It can make a bias in the summary, so we mitigate this. For example, we say, okay, if there is too much emoji thumb up, okay, we don't take care of this comment because it's a funny comment, and so on. And today's result is quite.
So you
good.
apply rules. Is that something that journalists use also to actually get a better sense of the atmosphere amongst the fans and to actually feel the winds, like we say?
Joker.
Okay. Okay.
As far as I'm concerned, I use it because for the moment we don't have the summary of the article. It's one of our next project, but that's another debate with our newsroom. But that's the sense of history, no problem. Joker. I think for some of them, yes, that is useful, but it's a personal point of view.
Before jumping to Florent, I just want to ask a quick question to you three. Basically, you were talking about the implementation of AI in the newsroom in areas where basically you are creating content. How did you manage that in terms of ethical charter? Did you wrote one? What did you do to actually write that charter, and what's the implication on the content that you are producing?
Yeah, well, I guess at Le Monde we are very like old French style. It's like before experimenting anything or doing anything, we wrote a charter first. So that's what we did.
The law before the action.
Yeah, it was like, okay, we have to protect before we do it. So that's what we did. We have a charter, and the key point in the charter is that it is clear and transparent for users if we use AI, and that nothing is produced by an AI and not checked by humans.
Thomas?
This is indicated. It's not
The small eye?
Yeah, the small eye. That's we don't have an icon. Maybe we will have it with stars. There is not a standard common icon today in terms of front-end UX, but we try to be as more transparent as possible. And we have some content, but very few generated by us, not necessarily with AI, which is more in French text à trous.
Yeah.
Don't have the
well, it's
translation.
kind of AI, but
it's kind of a
very old school AI.
Yeah, very old school AI.
You
but
were
we
among
mentioned
the first you were among the first two newsrooms.
Yeah, and
to
we
use
mentioned
AI, yeah.
this content is created by our database, something like that.
Yeah.
Like when we give results of local elections, and as you know, you get 36,000 cities in
800,
France.
yeah.
So when you give the result of elections, we have this kind of saying in that city the mayor is and the score is, and then the AI does the rest. But we've been doing that for, I guess, 10 years or something like that. So it's not Gen AI really.
When it's question of services like this, very neutral, that's not a problem, I think. When you speak of content with opinion, with criticism, for example, in sports, with affairs or a simple match highlight, that's more critical.
Yeah, I think the Reuters Institute just in the digital report just mentioned that. Lefteris, did you manage to write some kind of a ethical charter on that, or it's still that
Old
work in
school
process?
as well. We don't have something like that, but we are, it's the language barrier, as I said before. But at the English edition, we are experimenting a lot, and we are. AI is going to be here. We are living already in a digital world that will not change. So we need to adapt. We need to have, our eyes open, because legacy media, when some legacy media left behind, struggle to transform to digital because they were print-based, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that it's important to be alert and not be afraid of AI. It's how you use it, not the tool itself, a risk or a danger. How you use it is how the outcome will come depending on you, on the industry, on the media.
For sure. Florent, you are actually creating a tool not for one newsroom, but for many users. Can you describe a little bit that tool that is called Spinoza, right?
Yes, maybe a small word about the Alliance de la Presse d'Information Générale, which I'm working for, because it's an alliance that brings together almost 300 news publications. It's the main organization of news publishers in terms of journalist employment, almost 40% of the journalists in France, and the biggest print and digital circulation. And we defend, that's our mission, the interests of publishers, and promotes a fair ecosystem for press and journalism. We reached 2 agreements on neighboring rights with a big platform, Meta and Google. And on AI specifically, we are more promoting through our members to be protecting their IPs through the opt-out, because we are not all like Le Monde who had an agreement with OpenAI. So we believe in a collective action against them because they don't want to negotiate at first sight for the moment. In this project, which was brought to the Alliance by Reporters Without Borders, we had three main objectives, which was to enable media to develop tools specifically for journalism and journalistic information, because when you take a ChatGPT, it's for lots of uses, but it's not specific for information, and it's important to get some specific application, as you said, Katerina, earlier. And we had this objective of reinforcing the media sovereignty over their means of production. That's not a small thing, because we know there's lots of platforms that are promoting free tools, or let's say free, it's against your data, so is it really free? And the third one was to develop a culture of responsible AI specific to journalistic ethics. And that's why we think a good actor, because we have lots of journalists working for our publishers. The governance principles, transparency. We say what we do and we show it. So that was pretty important for Reporters Without Borders and for us, because we are really against the idea that LLMs can just jump on the content and take it all and then through some other content from it, and without any sources or traceability. And that's the second point, the respect of the IP, of course, and the sourcing and traceability. Often when you, it starts to be different with Search GPT, but you need to get the source of an information when you get something in news that's particularly sensitive. So you need to get the source. So we were very tough and firm on this principle. Can jump to the next one. How is it built? It's the technique of retrieval augmented generation, the famous RAG you heard a lot of, maybe you have already heard of. It's a technique where you just gather some databases and you ask an LLM to specifically take the answer or produce an answer from those specific sources. So it really reduces the risk of errors. I don't like hallucinations. It's some mistakes, because it doesn't have like a mind. It's only a tool and a model. Today we switched, so that's kind of new. We are hosted the project on a private space on Hugging Face, which is a platform for open source model, and you can have lots of experimentation on it. So we jumped on it like a few months ago. And we just have a little change like last week, so that's pretty new. We jumped from GPT 3.5 to GPT 4.0 Mini because of not so much because of the performance on the answers, but more on the model is just consuming less energy, and we think it's better. And the idea, being on Hugging Face, is the possible switch to open source. That's maybe one of the next steps, is to be able to jump to another model. You get a lot of them on Hugging Face. What we put, who is in the project for us? We have 12 media houses representing 120 titles, and they all agreed to put almost 30,000 articles, which are specifically covering environmental topic or climate change. And we have a database on a data set of those 30,000 articles. And right now we have almost 100 members on the community of testers on Hugging Face. And that's maybe, you can think it's not a big number, but that's pretty much big, because there's lots of newsroom implicated. And Nice Matin is among them, and L'Equipe too. Oops, was going to forget the L'Equipe. And 100 members, and Hugging Face is more a platform for clearly for developers, for technical competency. So it's like pretty much great to have 100 journalists on Hugging Face. They are playing with the tool on it, and we are going to grow that community with a partnership with AFP, which started a few weeks earlier. I talk a lot about what we did and how we did. I'm just going to show you. I didn't
Quickly to
try.
just
Yeah,
so that's the interface.
that's the tool. Yeah. You're on Hugging Face. You can see the little images on the top. So we have just going to show. You've got a different. We call them agent or different data sets. The first one there is science. You have all the GIEC reports on it. You've got an agent about the law, an agent which are some laws that have been modified by the biggest law on climate in France a few years ago. You've got some public organism, a public agency which is called ADEME, which publishes lots of reports and recommendations on environmental topic. An agent on press, which are the 30,000 articles, and another one with 700 articles from, not articles, press agencies reports.
So you can ask questions to these agents, and they answer you, and they give you some
exactly.
specified
You ask
answers.
here first your question, the big question, which is then sent to with a different prompt to every agent in the tool. Then you get a differentiated answer for each databases, and you get a meta synthesis, which is produced. And that's interesting. Maybe you can jump to the next one. Here is the answer. I asked how the climate warming was impacting the raining in Europe. So that's my request. You can see on the right the sources. I said it's very important, the traceability. Where do the answers are coming from? The first one, it's a report from the GIEC probably. So you have the data set of the extract. We can see science at the bottom. A relevant score, how is it close to the request, what you can find in the extract, and the link to the full document. So if you have like an extract from a report of the GIEC, which is used to produce the answer, you can jump to the page in the report. So that's very interesting because a journalist can, in one click, he can just go to check if that's interesting for his work, because it's a tool, and the journalist has to check and to do his job, which is to verify information.
Control the source.
Exactly. And well, maybe another thing we can add, it doesn't know everything. It cannot answer everything. Sometimes the data is not available. So we asked him to say when it just can't, and maybe to open to subjects that are topics that are close to the request. So he's saying here, I'm not enough information to answer directly to the question. But maybe if you ask this question, you can see that, so that's not in Europe, because as I asked Europe, the territorial is very important in the question, and when you have the GIEC, there are not so many data on France or a specific region in France, so it will help you to come in and jump in the subject with another territory. So that's pretty much, we think, interesting for journalists, and you said, Katerina, earlier that it could be interesting for journalists that are, for example, covering a lot climate change. We think more today with the testers and what we get from the feedback we got from them. It's more a tool for journalists that want to add some climate change in their covering. They are not the specialists. It's more a tool that could be used by a newsroom for people that not jump in, but yeah, it helps them to go to the right information. Maybe you just don't start by reading the GIEC report when you're covering news, maybe at a local level. And that's interesting. It just helps you to get the information very close. So that's pretty much where we are right now. We built it we didn't invent and create an LLM. We just adapted a tool for newsroom. And we try to stick the most we can to our ethics. Journalists are very involved in the process, and we work with journalists from national brands and very local brands. They asked us, for example, to add other data sets. So that's very interesting about the needs they have, because they add some things. You start with a vision, and then you just reduce. It doesn't produce articles. At the beginning, we were like, what do you want it to produce? And they are like, we need to be helped, not to be taken, to be replaced. So we want to get some help. And that's the philosophy and the spirit of the project right now.
Perfect. I think our audience have many questions that you want to add something? Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Just to help our audience a little bit. So, in the different agents, you have different texts. You have scientific texts, legal texts. So this is the data set that you have fed the agent, right? Or does it go to those specified texts and pick an answer from there?
It picks extracts from on the right you can get, and it produces a small first synthesis, saying that's what we can say about, for example, the climate warning, and it will start saying, well, the temperature has been higher than the past years, and it will say
it generates a text.
Yeah,
actually,
it's generated
different elements.
Yeah, but every sentences is linked to an extract,
which has already been responsibly given to the model, right? So that's why I'm asking, like, the data sets are scientific, legal, press, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
all right.
Exactly.
Amazing. An amazing tool.
Any other question from the audience?
Don't be shy.
Is it possible to imagine that on Spinoza project you could tailor your own agent to and to say to him, put me some of Adam, some of the 30% of Adam, so 24% of the whatever.
That's interesting. That was one of the feature we had at first, and we just reduced the ambition maybe, but to get it more easy to use, you could have like a question. You could modify the question you ask for each data set. You want something specific from the law, you want some specific, but it was not understood and not used like this by journalists, so we had to step back and say, let's keep a unique request to all the data sets and see what's coming. And so, well, but we could imagine that. In the terms of personalization, today it's a common data set with publishers that were voluntary to participate. They can take back their content, and we are pretty much at the end of the year. They can take their content back, and maybe we can come in with other publishers or just growing with this data set. And we are working on something. It's coming. It will be like a hackathon within a month, where publishers will be able, or they can do, is to get their own Spinoza on their own content, and they can add data sets that they want. So they
add Adam, for example. I have to write something on climate change. Do it in my style.
Exactly. You could, not take all the data sets. You could add some data sets you have from other publication of your own groups that were not participating in the first common project. So we're working on different level because we think it's interesting for newsrooms, and journalists need to try and to use it. It's not like, and there's not a provider behind it. We are just working on top. It's not technically, it's not very, very complicated. And we have this conviction that the importance in a tools like this is that it's used and it respects the content. So the content is the best part, and the press content, of course, we are very confident that the press content is key.
S'il y a des francophones qui ont des questions dans la salle et qui ne sont pas à l'aise de les poser en anglais, je peux les traduire. Vous pouvez la poser en français et je la traduis. Est-ce qu'on a d'autres questions?
Il y en a deux.
Here.
On vous a en tête. Allez-y.
Alors, my question is about I'm not clear very much on how you feed the system. How you feed, where the information comes from, who decides, and is there any protection if the information that you provide is not adequate and something bad, really bad happens? Who's responsible, you or the journalist, or you see what I mean? Where are the responsibilities?
I have one answer and one question. The answer is the content. Journalists ask to put some more sources, so it's our journalists working for our publishers. They just gathered and they just it was a command sheet that they were adding some other sources, saying that's interesting. It's a regional source. The data come from here. It's available in this format. Could we add this? And that's how it worked. The articles we filtered them on climate change, so it's not like it's really articles on it, and it's articles from our members. So we're confident that because we have like almost 40,000 journalists working for our members, we're confident that the work is well done. Maybe you can do more, and that's why you go to search for other data sets. But we're not confident, and I'm not sure about what is dangerous in the use that you mentioned, and that's my question. How could it be dangerous? The thing is, it's a tool for newsrooms. So basically, it's for a professional of the information. I wouldn't say it's not a tool that we are going to give to politicians, for example, as you mentioned. So I'm not so sure of the risk. And I don't know. And maybe something interesting about the risk, because maybe I'm not. You can have some. The model is it's made, and the prompt asks him to make a focus on the contradiction. If there's a contradiction between an article, for example, and a JEC report or the law, he mentions it. It doesn't say that one is more important than the other. It says you have two different not way of seeing it, but the two different ideas, two positions that are mentioned in your sources.
There is one question on the left and one question in the back. So maybe if you have the mic, or just because I'm closer.
Just to add the previous question, that the danger is the bias. I mean, when we create such tools and believe that we are objective, we actually depend on the sources that we put in the tools. So the journalist believes that what we receive is something objective, but if the data you put inside the tool is biased, then you have a biased answer. Yeah. So this is the problem.
That's why that's important to say that it's for journalists, and all the content of the data set is available to the user. So he must know what he's dealing with. That's
okay, so next question.
Good morning, Joseph Jaricot for the Journalism School of Nice. My question is about the trust. Don't you think the use of AI can make people lose the confidence in the media?
Okay. Thank you, guys. No. Yeah, I guess it's always the same thing with new technologies coming on, and so yeah, in the beginning you can have distrust and you can fear what's going to happen, and you can fear that bias that we were talking about and things like that. But it's on our hand to be like really transparent about how we do it, what we do, how we do it, what are the control, what are the checks and balance, and everything like that. And we have to teach people the way that we do, and to show them what are the sets of data, what the machine can or can't do, and all that kind of thing. So I'm not the one to say if the audience is not going to trust me anymore. I know what we are doing. I guess that we're doing it the right way, but yeah, there might be some bias, I guess, and probably we're gonna have mistakes. We're gonna sometimes go in the wrong way, and then step back and do it the right way. But we just have to be clear and transparent about the way we do.
If I may add, yes, trust is a big thing, and the reason that big media and legacy media, either is print or digital, doesn't matter, is the accountability. If a big newspaper or a digital site, website, makes a mistake, it will own the mistake and will, publish an apology or, a correction or whatever. If you are getting on social media or from a creator, content creator, your news, then most probably will not get an apology or a fixed on the fake news that was created. Like in Gaza war, we have seen a lot of AI pictures. In all conflicts have fake news around it. So I think that trust is huge. And the big question, we didn't discuss it today, but the big question is what will happen when we have AI search that will generate only answers, not the ability to go and see in your own, to choose your source of information. You will get your answer right in a ChatGPT content. There will be no search engine, and you will choose the link you're going to follow, the media you're going to read. What will happen then? So that is the big question for me. It will be a disruption for the media and for the audience. They will get their information through an app, asking questions and get answers. So the bias there are very high stakes. So that's my opinion.
I think to complete on your questions that we spoke here about the official use of AI into your newsroom, but Arnaud, you mentioned that a lot of journalists and a lot of people do use AI without saying it. And I guess a lot of journalists in all of your medias are doing secret AI and not saying it. That sometimes it happens to publish a mistake by using it. How are you going to handle that?
Well, the first thing is how we discover, because like all not journalists are not letting the ChatGPT sentence on the article, which makes it easier. But I told you 2 days after, it's still on the website. So, but yeah, the first thing is how we discover it, and so we are now using tools that discover AI. We're using a machine to discover that the machine has produced the content, and so. The question is how we deal with that, and the thing is that if we have journalists using AI on their side to produce data for investigation, they're already doing that, and that's a good thing. The only thing is that we have to train people. We have to have internal procedures and learn people what they can do, what they cannot do, and. Yeah, I guess it's a question of trust in between the audience, the media organization, and the journalists.
One last question, and then it's going to be lunchtime.
It's also related to that trust question, but here, hi. Did you, for those who worked with AI already in your media, did you have any feedbacks from your public about it, and how did they react to this?
As far as I'm concerned, for Le Monde in English, so for the translation part, what was really funny is that before Le Monde in English, we were translating some articles from time to time, like really important editorials after national elections or things like that. We thought that it would be interesting to have an English version of the article, and so we used to do that. And the thing is that we were doing it manually, the translation. And as we are a French newspaper, and in the comments under each article that was translated by a professional translator, you had comments like, "Oh, this is poorly translated," like, "Oh, French people, you speak English like shit," and things like that. Now that we use AI, but it's in a framework that is Le Monde in English, which is supposed to be a native English-speaking media, we have no worries with the translation. We never had any comments saying that is poor translation or something like that. I don't think it's the case for every use of AI, but in that particular case, we don't have any problem. But still, we have human people checking what the AI is doing, and that would not definitely not be the same if we were translating only with AI.
Thank you
Can
very
I-
much. We're
Can I
going
make
to
a
cut.
little observation regarding that? In the Reuters report, there is some very specific feedback from the audience coming regarding AI. So, if there is, they don't trust AI usage, especially when it takes over the journalistic work in politics and economics, specifically, if I remember correctly. But they don't have a problem with AI-augmented journalistic work in sports, entertainment, and celebrities, or like Hollywood reporting, or
And science.
culture.
And science, which is pretty disturbing,
But
actually.
when it comes to economics and politics, they trust humans more, and they only want them to do the job. Perhaps maybe a little bit of AI help if they want to translate, let's say, a term or something. Okay, so it's actually quite interesting if we could even look into more into that, like regarding AI. Why is it politics not trusted to AI applications and science is? Okay, maybe because when we come to politics and economics, there is the bias that the news organization itself carries, because each news organization has its own agenda. So the people knows that they carry this agenda in, and that is going to affect the news of politics and economics. But they believe that the agenda is not so prominent regarding issues of health or sports or culture or entertainment. Therefore, you can say whatever you want. I don't mind, this is all entertainment for me. But for my daily life, which is politics and economics, tax policies, okay, all these things, I don't trust you with AI, because this is going to augment your own agenda. So it's a bit of a tricky situation. We need to work more into that. That's why we have this kind of projects and conferences to ask ourselves about.
And we are still early in the process, and everything is like 2 years old. So, we are still learning.
Exactly. The legislation only came out like 8 months ago.
Yeah,
regarding AI.
exactly.
Okay.
Thank you very much to everyone. It's lunchtime. Enjoy.